We're going to review how to install an iPod interface unit into a 1997 Honda Civic. First, the contents of the package of the interface unit. The interface unit itself, a cable that goes to the radio, a cable that goes to the iPod, and the owner's manual. Before we start, remember to unplug the negative terminal of the battery. The first thing to remove is the panel on the driver's side. It has 3 screws, 2 on the left side and then 1 on the right side. Removed, you may need to use a panel removal tool like this one to pull the frame out, and the goal is to remove these 3 clips. They may be a little bit hard to remove. There are 3 big clips like that, 2 on the left side, 1 on the right side. Once they are out, then you have access to these 2 screws for the central panel. One in the lower left, and there is one here on the upper right there. So one up, one down. Left panel has been removed. Now we need to remove 2 screws under the glove box. There is one on the left side, one on the right side. They have a hex socket, but they also can be removed with a Phillips screwdriver. Okay, now you can remove the glove box by just pulling on it, and there goes your glove box. The 2 screws were here. Okay, so now we remove the 2 screws on the right side of the central panel. Those are located here, one in the lower right, and then one on the upper right there. After removing the right side screws, now we need to remove the 2 screws in the central part of the central panel. They are located here and here. So now we unsnap this piece. Okay, once this piece is removed, now we can disconnect the power for the cigarette lighter. Okay, so now once the central piece is removed, we need to remove 2 screws that secure the stereo. This one here, this one here, and this one here. Okay, we are supposed to disconnect this from under the radio, but my hands didn't fit in there, so I pulled the radio out. So in the end there were 4 connectors, one for the CD changer box on the left, 2 connectors for the radio and the security system, and the antenna lead. And so the radio was like this, and there were the 4 cables for connectors that we needed to remove. The serial number is located on the back of the unit. Okay, the part that goes to the radio, right, we have 2 options depending on the model of the stereo. For newer models you use this blue connector, and for older models like this 97 Civic will need the connector here that is capped. So we'll have to remove the cap and plug that into the back of the stereo. Okay, remove cap. And this will go there in the back of the stereo. Like that. So before we do that, I'll put the cable. I'm going to put the unit in the glove box, so we'll have to pass the cable through one of the holes in the back and get it down to the glove box. Okay, so now the radio back in place. Okay, stereo back in, but before we screw the two screws in the back of the stereo, just one important note: the cable that goes to the iPod box, to the adapter, it's easier if it goes behind the bar that sustains the screws of the stereo. So it's not absolutely necessary, but it will make life a little bit easier if the cable runs behind that bar, so that the stereo has enough space to slide back in to get the screws in place. So now we put the two screws back on to hold the stereo unit. Okay, before putting everything back together in place, let's give it a try just to test. The cable goes to the radio label part of the box, the other cable goes to the iPod, and then finally to the iPod dock. So I had plugged the battery of the car back on, turned the radio on, and right now it's on radio. So this thing's supposed to work by going to CD. It will take a few seconds, they said, for the screen of the iPod to recognize the radio. So there it is, we have it there now. Turn it off for now. Turn the car back off. I'm going to unplug the battery again, and then we'll put all the pieces together the way they were. Okay, so we go back first through the central panel, then the glove box, and then back to the driver's knee panel. Okay, the central panel here is now back in place. Before putting the glove box back on, place the cable inside the glove box, and remember to have these things open. They are the ones that hold the screws, and they go, remember, under this holding bar. So now in the final setup, we have the cable that goes to the iPod, the box inside the glove box, and the cable that goes to the radio through the back. So we can, I guess we can plug the iPod, turn the stereo, and play.
Tengo miedo de la noche que poblada de recuerdo encadena mi soñar, pero el viajero que huye tarde o temprano detiene su andar.
Let's test the sync buttons. Yeah, that scrolls through the different songs.